Well, hello again, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and I'm in the middle of the process. It's I guess I could call it a project where we get a cheap Squire Stratocaster, sand it down, take it apart, sand it down, repaint it, and put it back together with higher pedigree of components. So better tuners, better pickups, better saddles, a big old honkin' brass tremolo block, big old honkin' potentiometers. And one of the things that I really like is the aged finish on the neck, like when there's an amber looking neck or pumpkin color. So I have a picture here to demonstrate what I'm on about. I do not like the one on the left. This one here, I do not like. This, yeah, I like that orange color. So how do you get that? Well, I think this is a little intense. It's a little much. What I went for today, I have this neck here that was done, and it looks better. It looks more natural and a little darker, a little oranger in person. And I think when I put the clear on it, it's going to improve even more. And this is alcohol-based leather dye. Now you can use different types of dye. They have fabric dye. I went for leather dye because it seemed to me that it would penetrate the wood maybe. And I found it for what looked like it was going to be just the right amount of what I would need to do one neck for $2. So if you'd like to see, we can pop over. I found it on AliExpress. Leather alcohol dye. And it's 25 milliliter. I got golden yellow is the color that I got. I would say you could go for the orange yellow. It wouldn't hurt. But then again, I really don't want to say that because I have yet to put the clear coat on here, and I know it's going to darken up a lot when I put the clear coat on it. Either way, I received the alcohol dye. I got to tell you, it took significantly longer to ship. Like I ordered stuff on the same day that I ordered the dye, and the dye went on a separate shipment. It must be because it's liquid. Customs, I really couldn't tell you. I just know that if you're going to be really in a hurry to get this done, and again, there's other ways to do this. They sell, I mean, I've heard of people putting shoe polish on the neck. I've heard of pre-amber tinted, or you just buy the nitro, the lacquer, your clear coat, your finish already has the coloring mixed into it. That's really the way to do it if you can afford $30 a can for a 10-ounce can of lacquer. More power to you. I like to pay $2 for 10 ounces of lacquer. Unfortunately, those days are gone. I ended up paying $5. So I used a mason jar. I poured the 25 milliliters of dye into the mason jar and then immediately filled the container, the 25 ml container, up with 90 IPA. So I cut the dye in half with rubbing alcohol. This is alcohol-based dye. There's water-based dye and alcohol-based dye. I got the alcohol-based dye because that's what was recommended, and I would think that it would speed in the drying, curing process, that the alcohol is really going to cure quickly if you're using a embossing tool, hair dryer, heat gun, what have you. So I got a mason jar, I pour the dye in there, I match 50-50 with alcohol, shake it up. I use some foam rubber that was about 2 inches thick. I cut a little triangle. You're going to want to have rubber gloves. You're going to want to put down some poster board or newspaper or drop cloth because this stuff is nasty and it will stain. You don't want to get this stuff on your hands, or you'll end up having to scrub it off with some Ajax. It does come off, but you'll apply it and kind of rub it into the wood. If it pools, and then like if you slop it on, it will leave like a remnant of pigment behind that looks messy, and you'll have to rub that around on the next application. So you, like, when you're applying it, you want to go like less is more. You don't want to have a real lot, and if you are going to use a sponge like I did, you don't soak it in the sponge, pull it out and go to town. You dip it in about a ½ inch, and then you pull that up against the jar and press lightly to get the excess to drain. You turn it at an angle on the side, press it a little bit. Turn it on the other angle on the other side, press it a little bit. You want to get a good amount of that out so it's not sloppy floppy when you're applying it. And I started on this afternoon. It's 9:30 at night. I used the whole 25 mil cut in half. I didn't have to. I could have stopped at the second coat, but I just kept going. I wanted to get it really, really deep. And I had some variance in how it looked. Like this area here this is like darker here. So I was concerned about that, and I thought if I keep adding it, maybe I'll balance it out. Now, halfway through, I went over it with steel wool, or you can use light sandpaper, but you're going to want to, whenever you're doing anything with a finish, it's a good thing to go over a little bit. And that will take it down. It'll reduce the intensity. So that's just a fact of life. But yeah, I went ahead and I used all of it. And now I'm going to let it sit overnight in like 70 degree with low humidity. And then tomorrow I will spray matte. I've got a gloss finish for the front of the headstock, and then the back I'm going to be doing matte finish. So there'll be a significant finish on the front of the headstock, and that will be gloss. The back will be not a real lot of finish, and it's going to be matte. But basically, I will put down a matte finish first. Initially, I'll put down what they call a flash coat on the front here. Flash coat the back maybe. Come back and do another coat so it's a full coat. And let that dry to touch. And at that point, I will apply the water slide decal. An hour after the water slide decal has been sitting on here, I'm going to go ahead and start spraying it with the gloss. And I will build up that gloss. So things to consider is that you don't want to flop and schlop this. You do want to tape off the neck. You want to cover. There's white dots here that will get dyed. You don't really want to dye um, the rosewood, ebony, whatever, fingerboard, whatever that is. Really don't want to dye that. So you do want to tape it off, and I will be taping it off again when I go to do the clear coat. So this is a really neat thing. I didn't know about it. I've seen people selling guitars that are new guitars, and they've got this amber color on the headstock and the back of the necks. The necks are this beautiful amber or pumpkin color, and I'm like, man, I really like that. That to me, that's just chef's kiss. That's what I want. And then I find out, oh, you can do that at home. You can get just any old Squire that has the ugly white neck, sand it down, pick up some leather alcohol dye, rub that into your finish, and Bob's your uncle. So if you're curious about more about this project with this guitar, I'll show you. This is what I'm shooting for, but I'm not gonna relic it. Whatever relicking will be on here will just be the mistakes that I made when I shot the rattle can finish. Here we have vintage saddles. I'm going to have modern brass saddles, but it's basically the same thing. It's the off-white guitar, like a matte finish. We've got, is that cream? I don't know. It looks like it's just aged. Like there's parchment, there's yellow, there's white, there's tan or cream. To me, this is the aged one. It's not the yellow, and it's not the tan or cream. So we'll see. I'm waiting to see what I get when the pickups arrive, what we end up with. Because part of it is that I don't want to keep having to ordering stuff from China. You know, like I may have to sacrifice and end up going with tan pickup covers and then have the yellowed out knobs switch tip. But one thing about this that I don't like, can you guess what it is? It's this tip here. If this were to match the strat knobs and the pickups and the pickup selector tip, then I would be happy. But I did get the vintage style tuners. I got them in nickel finish, and they look chrome. They were like $4.70. It was a Black Friday deal. The brand on that is Fleor, which is, in my experience, the Fleor stuff is really good. I know somebody who thinks their pickups are the best pickups in the world. I've got the El Nico 5s coming to put in this one. So if that person's watching, you can sleep well at night knowing that I didn't get them from Guitar Madness. Take it easy. Everything's going to be okay. So when I ordered the tuners, they came and they had they're vintage tuners, so the bushings are not 10 millimeter. Every time I've ever gotten a Squire, the diameter of the headstock holes is 6.8 millimeters or whatever it is. It's small diameter. And then I got this one. I ordered the stuff, and the stuff came, and it's these are 10 millimeter. So the bushings that came with the tuners were like 8 or whatever. They're small. So I went back and I looked, and they had tuner bushings, and they had the dimensions on them. This is what I get for not taking it apart and measuring it. I just kind of assumed, like, oh, they're tuners, you know. I've got the tapered reamer. I do it the right way when I've got to bore it out. But what happened was there was an auction on AliExpress for the proper size tuner bushings for $1.99. And they came, and they're fucking plastic. And they don't say anywhere in the auction that they're plastic. They don't say that. So, if you're going to be buying tuner bushings and getting them cheap, and they say color, black, and chrome, that's code for plastic. So, yeah, it was another... it was like $6 or something. Anyway, this is it's a really fun project, taking a Stratocaster Squire and completely stripping it down, refinishing it, rebuilding it, and then putting in quality saddles, a quality block. At that point, you kind of develop a bond with the guitar where it's like it's your guitar, you know. This one, I wasn't sure about the strap. That's like, for me, that's like the crowning thing. When the guitar's done, you get the right strap and put it on there. So we got to see. I got a black leather one that's like 2 inches wide. I think that'll look really nice. But I got the one that I ordered is this Jimi Hendrix strap. It's the same strap that Hendrix used in Woodstock in 1967. And a year later, Elvis Presley had this comeback television special where he used the same strap. So I was like, Hendrix used this thing with his white Strat at Woodstock, and Elvis used it. I'm not a big Elvis guy, but if I was going to say Elvis, I would say that 68 special. That's some good stuff there. Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me on this one. I'm going to be working on this, and eventually you'll see me playing this guitar. The yellow guitar that you see me playing with is the same thing. It's a black and white Squire Strat. That's like a 2009 Chinese. This guitar was a much nicer. This is a really nice guitar. So I can't wait to get done with this and see how it compares to the yellow one. The thing about it is, though, I'm not going to be... for now, I'm telling myself, I'm not going to put a humbucker in the bridge. I'm just not going to do it. I can go to the 2 position. I can use a noise gate because I want this to be like, it looks like a vintage Stratocaster. That's what I want it to look like. And it's bad enough that I'm going to have modern style bridge saddles on it because I cannot live with the vintage. Anyway, you guys take care of yourselves. Try to stay warm. Hug your pets, which is the really important thing that I always like to say. And peace.